Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. I have a classic Billy Idol hit today. We learned how to do Eyes Without a Face. Beautiful song, fantastic song, and some really interesting guitar work from Steve Stevens here. So we're going to cover everything. We're going to do all the chords, all the chord progressions and stuff, and the little harmonic sections that he does, and also the solo too, which is Steve Stevens always writes some very creative, very unique solos. So we'll tackle that as well. Before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps the channel out and helps me out and helps me create more content and all that good stuff to help you guys out. So, and ring that notification bell while you're at it, because then they'll let you know when I release a new video, at least they're supposed to. And please check out my Guitar Academy. I've got a great community going over there. My Guitar Academy, if you don't know, contains all my guitar courses for covering many different topics, from basic beginner stuff to more advanced courses in improvisation and ear training and theory and technique and guitar tone, you name it. So please go over there and check it out. The link in the description to give you a free 7-day trial. All right, so let's jump in here. I'm in standard tuning here, and the song starts out with just really kind of an E. There's obviously a lot of synths, a lot of orchestration going on here. So we start with just an E major 7th chord. Kind of that thing. It's kind of just like some really cool stuff going on with it. So, and then we get to the actual, I'll show you that E major 7th chord in a second. And then we get to the actual verse chord progression, which starts with that E major 7th chord. So we're going to start here with this open E string, 7th fret on the A, 9th on the D, 8 on the G, and then back to the 9 on that B. And then you have the high E open if you want. So we have this beautiful sounding chord. It's very common major 7th chord voicing. So that's E major 7. So that's what you're hearing at the beginning of the song. Then there's a little synth bash, and then they hit that again, and then and then we come in with the verse chord progression, which first time through there's no vocals. So it starts with an E major 7th chord, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to a C sharp minor chord. So that's going to be a bar at the 4th fret, really just across 5 strings. And then you're going to add in front of it, you're going to add the 5th fret on the B, the 6th fret on the G, and the 6th fret on the D. So you're basically strumming from the 5th string across. Then it goes to a G sharp minor 7 chord. Now, I've seen him play this chord a couple different ways live. Sometimes he'll play it as a regular G sharp minor, and sometimes he'll play it as a G minor 7, which he plays it this way. On the recording, pretty much every time you hear this chord, it's not necessarily played on the guitar, but there's a synth patch that's playing that flat 7 in there, that minor 7, which makes it a minor 7 chord. So I chose to do it. If you like the sound of the regular G sharp minor, just bring this back. So let me show you first. We have a bar at the 4th fret across all 6 strings now. And to make it a minor 7th chord, you just pretty much add the 6th fret in front of it on the A string. Now, later on, when we get to in the chorus, I'm going to add a note to this chord and do a different voicing of the minor 7th chord. But we have this for the verse, a little bit more subdued. Or if you want to make it a full G sharp minor chord, you just basically play the 6th fret on the D as well. But you're going to hear that minor 7th on the track. And then we're going to go from there, we're going to move up to the 7th fret. So keep a full bar at the 7th fret, and we're going to play a B major here. So in front of this bar, you're going to play the 9th fret on the A and the D, and then the 8th fret on the G. revolves around that a little bit. So that's the opening verse. And then we get to the chorus where the female vocals come in and we have this. Back to the verse. So what's going on there for that chorus? We had the open A string, 7th fret on the D, 6 on the G, 5 on the B, then the open high E. So that's an A major chord. All right, now from there, what he's gonna do is we're gonna move this up 2 frets. And so it's a B major here. So it's 9th fret on the D, 8th on the G, 7 on the B. And I like to grab, I don't think Steve Stevens might not even do this, but you can grab the B and the bass here. Or you can just hang out with on these strings. And what you also want to keep the high E string ringing. What that does is that creates a B major add 11 chord. So we have this. Like I said, you can do it like that or add the B. But if you want to add that B on the low E string, you gotta make sure you mute that A string. I'm using the tip of my ring finger there to mute that A string. Here you let it ring and mute. Like I said, you don't need that low bass note though, so you can just move this up, mute the A string, and just strum the top 4 strings. All right, so after you've done that 3 times, you do this. So we have those 2 chords that end it. Now it sounds like there's some bass movement in there. So it sounds like there's almost more chord changes than there is. But the harmony doesn't really change, and then you can also see Steve Stevens, he doesn't change the harmony, he just plays those 2 chords, he doesn't have 4 chords there. So it starts with an F sharp minor chord, so it's a full bar at the 2nd fret, and then you're gonna add the 4th fret in front of it, the 4th fret on the A and the D. And then we're gonna go back to that G sharp minor, but I mentioned earlier it's gonna be a different voicing. So this is really kind of bringing out stuff that you're hearing in the synth patch. So you're gonna have that's that minor 7th that we did earlier, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double that flat 7 an octave higher at the 7th fret there on the B string. And then that resolves really well by taking this note up to. So we have this. Back to the verse, same thing. Now here in the 2nd verse, there's usually a lot more guitar players than just Steve Stevens playing on stage. So he takes advantage of that. Instead of somebody else doing the chords there, he does those little harmonics that he does in the 2nd verse. So the harmonics look like this. Back to the chorus. So they're pretty repetitive, except the first time you play these harmonics, you just play 3 instead of 4. We start with this. So that's a harmonic at the 7th fret, and then the harmonic at the 7th fret. So that's 7th fret on the high E, then the 7th fret on the B, and then over to the 12th fret on the high E. So we have this to start it. And then he does the full 4 harmonic sequence each time after that. So that's just the 7th on the high E, then the B, then the 12th on the high E, then the B. And repeat that. So it really complements. That's going on over the. So that's going on over that. So then we get to the same chorus that we did before. So nothing new to learn there. And then it resolves to that E major 7th again. And then we get taken to the section that really rocks out a little bit. So let me play just this riff that Steve Stevens comes in there in the middle of the track. Sounds like this. All right, so instantly recognizable. So we have this. So we're going to start here with this couple of hits on the low E string, palm muted, and then you hit the E power chord, just 7th fret on the A, 9th on the D and the G. I'm borrowing those 2 9s with my pinky. You can just play them like this if you want. So we're just hitting that. You can keep going back and repeating that, just a low E a couple times, and a couple times on the chord. And then after on the 3rd time, hit it, slide down to a D, or you can pick each one if you want. And then from here we have this. So that's pretty cool. We're doing the palm mutes again, but it's on the open D string. So you palm muted that. So we have this. The 7s on the D, it's a D note, but on the G string and the B string. So basically, what you see, I keep going back to the. I kind of want to keep going back to that D whenever you get a chance. But those notes up here, these double stops. So that's that 2 7s a couple times, and then down to the 5 on the B, 6 on the G. So what I'm doing, I just kind of keep. Whenever there's a slight little pause, I'm back there just chugging on that D string. So all right, then we get to Steve Stevens solo. Now, There's a lot of delays and reverbs on this stuff and some overdubs. A lot of Steve Stevens' solos, he's creating like textures. He's like painting with music, really, is what it sounds like. There's always this stuff just coming at you from all these directions. And he's using ray guns in some songs or whatever. So this is kind of an approximation trying to put all those together. I can watch some videos and there's certain things that he'll do live and certain things he won't because they're just too much, just too many overdubs. He can't do it all. But so this is kind of similar to what he'll do live, and also kind of putting together what's actually on the recording too. So it sounds like this. All right, so I started here with just this low E open, and that's when you actually hear a. Now that's a crazy harmonic there, kind of just above the 3rd fret, like 3.2, 3.1 on the B string. You hear, but that's an obvious overdub that I kind of skipped, because it's kind of hard to have everything dies out when you go to that. So I just kind of kept the low E ringing. But if you want to play the harmonicas, you do that. And then we have this. So that's the 2nd fret on the A. Slide up to 4, then back down this 2. So then you're going to pick it again, slide up to 4, and then 5. Then over to 4 on the D. Then up to 9, and down to 7. And then this little part, we're gonna have this. That's playing 6, hammer on 7 on the D, pull back off to 6, over to 7 on the A. All right, now we have another overdub, but we can play this. We have this. You hear just a harmonic at the 4th fret on the B, and then the 4th fret on the G. And then you do a slow bar dive on that. So those really sound like huge because of the effects on it. So then we're up here for this last little bit. So into this 14 on the B string, then back to 12, and then do that again. And then what you're going to do is shift up to 14 now. Because we're going to start a series of trills off this 14th fret between 14 and 17. And then you can go down to the B here, B note there, the 12th fret there on the B string, or over to 16 on the G. So we have this. All right, so that's about it for the solo. Then we get back to this. The verse after the solo is kind of a variation. There's a verse and a chorus after the solo, and they're a little different than the previous verse and choruses. So they're a little bit extended. So it looks like this. This verse out of the solo looks like this. And then we get to the chorus. So you'll see there, it's played a couple times, but the last time you're gonna play it before we go into the chorus. The variation is basically that G sharp minor 7 to the B, was done twice. It's kind of repeated. And then we get to this. So that's a little variation that he does there in that last verse. It's just that it's kind of slightly extended. And he does the same thing in this chorus, this last chorus. Right here. So it's the same thing. We did that chorus like kind of 3 times, and when we went to that F sharp minor and the G sharp minor 7, you're just going to do that F sharp minor and G sharp minor 7 twice. And at the end of the song, we have more of the, just kind of an E, and then some sound effects, and kind of ends just on that kind of an E major 7 vamp. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a beautiful song. It's got some really cool stuff in it. It's got part of it is that rock. It's got a very creative, unique solo, and it's also got great lyrics, beautiful melody, nice chord progression. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.